What's going on, my friends? Chris Peach here with episode 147 of the Money Peach podcast. Today's episode, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm pretty nervous. And I don't usually get nervous doing, a live show or doing podcasts. This is, there's 147 episodes, but today's a little bit different. I'm actually bringing on the most special guest I've ever had on the show, known as my wife. And so she's coming on the show, and we are going to share with you something that we actually have been kind of hemming and hawing, going back and forth on whether or not we were going to share this news that happened in our lives. And so, but I thought, you know what? After praying about it and thinking about it, I thought, you know what? We're going to share this story. It's going to be tough to share. It's money stuff that no one talks about, right? Especially when it's your own money stuff. And so we're going to share something with you, and it's going to, I think it's going to maybe open your eyes a little bit, inspire you, and that's the goal of this. So, but without further ado, let me bring on my better half here, Andrea Robinson.
Well, hello.
So you're here. You're here in studio.
But I'm on my tippy toes because this,
Yeah, we have a standing desk because I feel like when you're sitting down, you can't. The sound just doesn't sound great. So I want to be.
It's making me work for this today.
So yeah, we had talked about this, kind of going back and forth on whether or not we thought this would be a good idea, whether or not we thought what would people think. You always wonder, what are people going to think when you go ahead and say these types of things. And so one of our biggest fears were, we always want to remain humble, always. Right? And we want to make sure that we're not trying to
show off.
Yeah, show off and so
brag.
Yeah.
Or anything. But I think that when you're human, right, which we all are, even if we have worked through the fear of what people may think, and you and I have combated a lot of criticism in our life over the last several years, especially with a TV career that lasted 15 years. And so we're kind of like used to, okay, what will people think? And if they don't think highly of us, then we are usually pretty able to kind of brush it off. But yes, that was the kind of factor in all of this is, do we share or do we not? But we thought, you know what, if it helps people see that a journey is something that takes a long time, and we are, not, completely done by any means, but goals take a long time. And I think often in social media land, it sometimes feels fake because you see somebody up here and you think, well, was that overnight? And it's not usually.
So this all started, if you don't know our story, I'll give you a brief overview here. In 2008, we get married, and we do all the normal things. We say yes to everything. We go on all the fancy vacations. We buy brand new cars. We have a nice house in the nice side of town. And so we just say yes, 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 yes. And in February 2011, we actually kind of fell flat on our face. We went broke. We had overdrafted our checking accounts. We had maxed out our credit cards. We were living paycheck to paycheck for a long time. And at that moment, February 7th, 2011 was when we kind of sat down and realized, holy crap, we were sitting in about $52,000 in consumer debt, paycheck to paycheck. And but one of the things that we did, and this is kind of the starting of this episode, what we're talking about here. So one of the things that we did in 2011, I'm sorry, is I wanted to learn everything I could about money because things were not great. When you're broke, when you're paycheck to paycheck, we sucked at it. Things were not great.
Yeah.
And I felt like, okay, I need to do whatever I possibly can to make sure Andrea and I never go back into this position again. So I started reading and listening to podcasts at the time, and anything I could about money. And I remember hearing, this is back in 2011, Dave Ramsey had mentioned something about tracking your net worth. And so I thought, tracking your net worth, what does that even mean? I've never been taught this. So I sat down with Andrea, and we added up we tracked our net worth.
I hate numbers.
And she hates numbers. So I actually have I'm going to share a screenshot with you guys here. So what we did is we looked at, okay, how much total debt do we have? What's our debt, including our mortgage? What is our debt on everything we have? So we added up all of our debt. And so we had a total debt of $267,631. And this was $52,000 in consumer debt. This was our mortgage.
Credit cards. That was, mortgage included in that.
So then we also looked at, okay, in 2011, we were upside down in our mortgage. I think a lot of people were then. So we had negative $25,000 in equity. So we had to add that to our debt. So right there, we're looking right around $290,000 negative $290,000 net worth. But then you take what do you own, and you subtract that from your liabilities. Assets are something you have. Liabilities are something you owe. So Andrea's 401k, and this is like, we're just going to be really transparent here, completely transparent. So in February 2011, Andrea was working at the news station, and in her 401k, there was $41,825. In my 457, it's like a 401k. In my 457, I had 20,663. So if you do all the math on that, you take all of the things that you owe against all of the things that you have, you'll get a net worth. And so our net worth in February 2011, February 7th, was negative $229,142. I'll say that again.
Negative.
We were worth negative $229,000, give or take a couple $100.
Yeah.
And so this is why people don't like looking at their net worth, is when you're starting,
shocking.
You were thinking, okay, I knew it was bad, but right now I'm $250,000 in the wrong direction, $250,000 in the wrong direction. And you start to think, what are we going to do? How do you get out of this hole?
It was a deep hole.
Deep hole.
Yeah.
So at first we thought we were $52,000 in debt.
We thought that's not terrible. We could maybe work on that. But then when we saw that, we thought, oh, no, we got a lot of work to do.
So that was tough. And I remember thinking, this is why nobody looks at their net worth, right? No one wants to look at their net worth because, if you're struggling like us, we're $250,000 in the wrong direction. Now, so something happened over the past 9 years. Okay, a lot of things have happened. So fast forward to 2020. And we're going to share with you 7 things that we think are going to help you move in the right direction if you're starting like we were. So if you're sitting there and you're a negative $250,000 in the wrong direction, guess who understands where you're at? We do. Okay, we do. And so something happened. So every quarter I track my net worth. Actually, now there's an app. I do it every month. But in the beginning, it was every quarter I would track our net worth. And I'm going to give you guys a resource for you guys to download to do it yourself at the end of the show. So every quarter we would look at our net worth. And, over the years, it has just kind of been this chopping block, a little bit. And it was just something I did. I remember listening to Dave Ramsey, and he said, millionaires track their net worth. And I thought, well, we're broke people.
Yeah.
So if millionaires are out there tracking their net worth, maybe we should do that. So we started tracking our net worth. It's painful, right? But September 1st was a quarter. So we do it in January 1st. We do it March 1st, June 1st, September 1st. And September 1st, we sat down at, we actually have an app now, but we sat down and we went over this together. And for those of you watching right now, I'm going to share my screen. If you're listening to this, you can find it in the show notes. So this was on September 1st. Actually, this is just updated today. I updated this about 10 minutes ago. That's a nice thing about having an app. But I'm going to share something with you. And I will say, this is the hard part of the show, right? This is something that we had to talk about going, is this a good thing that we're doing? Should we share it?
The only reason.
Are you still okay with me sharing this? Okay.
I'm half here, so I guess I'm like, one toe in the water. So now I'm here. I'm okay with it only because in my heart of all hearts, and you all, I feel like you know us, and we have always come with you with the best of intentions, and truly only to help people who are sitting in the same place we were 9 years ago, help them get to a point of hope and change. And so that's the only reason we would just share this, because I don't want you looking at people on social media thinking like they did that overnight. Like, this is a long haul, and we're all in it for the long haul. So that is the only reason we'll share this with you, to give you hope and to remind you that you are fully capable, because if 2 knuckleheads like us can do this, like truly anybody can do this. It's just sometimes not easy. It just takes consistent effort.
Okay, so I'm going to pull up my screen right here, and you guys should be able to see it. So this was our net worth. This is it right now. So we officially passed $1 million. We have a net worth of $1,041,119 as of about, 20 minutes ago when I took this screenshot. And so again, I don't want you to think, oh, look at these people that are they're over here bragging about how much. Okay,
first of all,
this does not mean we make $1 million.
No, not even close.
This does not mean we make $1 million.
No,
this is everything that we have against everything that we owe. We're debt free except for our mortgage. We're getting really close there. So that's the only thing we owe on.
A little bit left of that.
And so you add up everything that we have versus everything we owe. And we passed the $1 million mark last month. And it was September 1st is when we realized it. And so I remember having these dreams, these conversations with Andrea and I. We would say, what would it be like? Well, we asked, what's the definition of a millionaire? And a lot of people think the definition of a millionaire is Kim Kardashian, right? And
that's not.
I remember reading the book, The Millionaire Next Door, and they said the definition of a millionaire is somebody who has a net worth of $1 million. And I'm like, oh, so you don't have to make $1 million to be a millionaire. You just have to have a net worth of $1 million. Dave Ramsey does a great job of this. He has the millionaire next door, the $1 million next door hour, something like that, where he brings on guests who are just everyday people.
And they just talk about making their way to this point in their life, in their financial journey. I think that when you get to a point like this, which is, again, it is within everyone to have that place in life. I think when you get there, I think that is one of the closest, truest marks of financial freedom. Because, again, everybody has a different definition of truly what that means. But when you don't owe anybody anything and your, assets outweigh everything else. And what it does is it shows your consistent effort and your hard work. And when we say that, we'll show you exactly what this means. This, I always there's not a magic pill. There's not going to be a magic wand that eventually, you can't wish to win the lottery and hope that everything goes away and you can just pay off all your debt. Because if that really worked, then most of those people that win the lottery wouldn't end up back in debt. It is a consistent little bit of action every single day, but it is a behavior change. And it is getting together with your spouse or your partner, whoever you are doing this life with. And if you're a single, you're more than capable of doing this too. But it is rooting so deep in the ground and not getting rocked when other people, might be doing more than you or saying yes to more things or have more income to spend at that time. And it worked. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, and everybody, I can't stress it and preach it more that it is at everybody's reach. It's the decision you have to make. Do I want to try hard, and do I want to put forth the effort to do this?
So some of you might be thinking, wow, this is amazing. Others are probably thinking, that's not a big deal, right? So again, everybody's at different spots in their lives, I will say that looking back, we probably could have got there sooner if I didn't make so many dumb mistakes over the past couple of years.
We both made dumb mistakes.
We made some dumb mistakes, like some investment opportunities that, But anyway, the point is that we're just everyday people. We're just normal everyday people. I'm a firefighter. Okay. She's actually pretty extraordinary. I don't know why she's with me, but she's pretty extraordinary. She was on television for 14 years, but right now she's not on television, right? And we don't have that income from television, and we're still able to function because we do a couple things that we're going to be sharing with you. So I have a list that we put together. We sat down and we thought, how did we get to this point? And if somebody asked us, how did you get here? What could you share with us? Okay. So we're going to share with you. So we're talking about net worth here. Okay. And so I remember learning about millionaires track their net worths. So maybe I should track my net worth. So what I want you to do, number one, is track your net worth. What gets measured gets managed. You have to have a starting point. For us, it was negative $227,000. Yeah, that was our starting point. Not a fun starting point, but I tell you, when you get to a point in life where you look back, it's pretty cool to go, wow, we were negative $250,000 in the hole. So I don't have personally a personal on Money Peach's site a resource for you to track your net worth, but I'm going to tell you two places you can go to get them. Okay. So if you want the one that's on your phone, it's an app. It's super simple. It connects to all of your accounts and it just updates it in real time. 6 minutes you saw, it's 6 minutes ago we were at this net worth. Personal Capital. It is an amazing tool. It's 100% free, and I highly recommend that. But if you like the old school way, one of the things that I would recommend is my good friend Jim Wang. He runs wallethacks.com. And so he has this right here. And I'm going to put links in the show notes. After this episode, we'll have links in the show notes. So you don't have to write any of this down. But he has a free click to download a copy. And it even says here, I won't even make you join my newsletter to get it. You can have it. It's free. You don't have to sign up or anything. He's awesome. He does a really, really good job. So I'm going to make sure that you guys have a copy of that as well. Okay. So number one is track your net worth. You have to be tracking your net worth. If you're not tracking your net worth, then you don't know where you are starting from. Okay?
And it gives you that momentum because, again, we are in it for the long haul. This is a marathon, not a sprint. I know that sounds so cliche. It sounds so corny. It sounds so like there needs to be a meme, you know, with somebody like running towards a sunset and like totally cheesy, but it's so true. And so when it gets hard, because this will be hard, like I feel like we have to tell them that there are going to be times you want to give up and you want to go back to your old ways because it's not fun. It's going to get hard. And on those days when it's hard, when you've been tracking this, you can see those little bits of win and you can see just that little progress forward. And that will light the inside of you up enough to say, okay, we're making progress.
And there's ups and downs. I mean, there's huge ups and downs.
Yeah.
So March 31st, that was another month where we did we looked at our net worth. It was in the hole because a lot of our money's in investments. And so after COVID, you saw how fast the markets dipped. Good news is the markets are back up. But yeah, we looked at that going, oh man, that was a huge chunk that just disappeared. Okay, so that was number one is track your net worth, personal capital app, or head on over to Wallet Hacks. I'll have a link in show notes for you guys to download that. It's totally free and it's amazing. Number two, and I preach this every single day. You know it's coming. Create a budget. Create a budget. If you don't know how, I will give you our free budget and I will show you how to use it 100% free. But you have to pay attention to the dollars coming in and going out.
Yeah. Once again, what gets
measured gets managed. So,
and if you're not doing that on the monthly basis, then it absolutely, it just won't work. You can't just, throw something at the wall and hope it sticks. You really have to have a plan every single month before the month happens. You can't, people that are like, oh, but I look at what I spent at the end of the month. I'm like, no, that's just looking at where it went. That's not saying I have X amount of dollars and it's going to go here and, putting power back in your hands and you allowing yourself to decide, okay, my priorities this month are this is still the big priority, changing our family tree, paying off debt and all of that. So to this month, I want to be empowered and I don't want my money to own me and rule me and me just let it go all over the place.
Since 2011, we started our first budget. I feel like we've perfected this thing. How many months have we missed since 2011? 0. And the reason why is how you stick to something is it has to be simple and it has to be repeatable. I think the reason why people give up on budgets is it's not simple. It's complicated. It's too complex. And they just say, screw it. I'm not doing this anymore.
Right.
So the budget I will give you is so simple. You can't screw it up. It's so simple. And I would say it takes us 7 minutes a month to plan out all of our money for the month. And
it gets easier, I will say. Once you create the budget, the first few months always feel really odd and hard. And, it's just like walking into a gym for the first time in 20 years, right? Like all of a sudden you're like, oh, that's a bicep. And that's what it feels like when I move it, right? This is going to be a little hard in the beginning, but like with anything, practice makes progress and you start to build confidence. And when you have confidence there, you're like, it's another month. Okay, let's sit down, let's knock it out and let's go,
So number one, track your net worth. Number two, create a budget. Those are all free tools we're going to give you. Number three is you have to get out of debt. You can't build wealth when you're constantly paying off debt. If you're paying off debt, you're building somebody else's wealth. That's the way I would like to think about it. There's a reason why banks are, 72 stories tall and your house is a single story, right? It's because banks earn about 20% interest on your money and you're not getting 20% interest so you have to get these guys out of your life. You have to get out of debt. I hear the argument all the time that debt is a good thing. I haven't met anybody yet that's like, even if they take out debt and it's used as a tool to build wealth, which there is opportunities there, during that period of time when they're in debt, they don't love it. They love it when they make the sale.
It doesn't feel good.
Yeah. So, but especially things that go down in value, cars, boats, credit cards that's never good debt, right? So if there's debt in your life, get it out of your life. How do you pay off debt? We're big fans of the debt snowball method. We have a whole post on that I can share with you, but I'll just give you the overview here. You line up your debts from smallest to largest balance. You ignore the interest rates and you attack that first one. And then you move down. You snowball over to the second one and so on. Why do you ignore interest rates? Because interest rates aren't your problem. They're not your problem. Nobody has ever gone to the mailbox and got an offer for a credit card at 21% interest and said, hey, honey, guess what? We can carry debt on this card at 21.5% interest, yet people do. We know math. Math's not the problem. It's behavior. So the debt snowball helps you pay off your debt. Get out of debt and then don't go back into debt. Do not go back into debt. I promise you it's going to be extremely easy to go back into debt. Don't go into debt. Stay out of debt. Stay out of debt. Stay out of debt.
Remind yourself, say it again, stay out of debt. Remind yourself how much work it took to get out of debt and look at how easy it was to get into debt. And the feeling of buying something or the shiny object syndrome of like, oh, that new boat and the neighbor got a boat. Now we have to have a boat because they have a boat. Like, no. You know how long it took to get out of the debt because of the stuff you bought? To just sit there.
We're not against boats. If you want to boat, go pay cash for it.
I'm not against any stuff. I personally am against stuff to fill a void or a need or something further deeply rooted inside of me, just to make myself feel good. Because essentially that was my behavior issue with money, was to buy all the things.
And again, if you're tracking your net worth and you track it every quarter, one of the things that's going to hurt is when you're seeing that net worth go up and then well, I can go get a brand new car, but I'm also going to sign a note for $55,000, which means $55,000 is going to be a liability, and then it's going to take my net worth and move it in the wrong direction, and you don't want to look at that.
Nope.
So that's another reason why tracking your net worth is so important, because you're like, oh, I don't really want to go in the wrong direction, and I can visually see it.
Take note of the feeling when you get to that. And we always want to hear your stories, because I love when people reach out to us separately or together and they share huge wins of like, I paid off this credit card, or we just paid off our house, or we did this, or we did that. Like, we want to celebrate you so big. And we want that, one, because I want you to always remember the feeling of paying off that note or paying off whatever that bill was or whatever it might be. And I want you to feel it, sit in it, remember it, because that will help you when you're tempted, because you're human and you're going to get tempted again. But as you do this over and over, the habit is going to be stronger than the feeling that will come down the road again. And you will be able to say no in getting back into debt.
So number 1, track your net worth. Number 2 is create a budget. Number 3 is pay off your debt, stay out of debt. Number 4 is I want you to invest as much as possible. You'll hear a lot of people out there say, max out your retirement accounts. If you can do that, great. But just keep in mind, invest as much as possible, right? Especially because we save for the future. Most of us are saving for retirement. When you're in retirement, you don't have a job, so you need income. While you're working right now, invest as much as possible. Now, this is not a show where I'm going to tell you where to invest. There's lots of great opportunities. It's not one size shoe fits all. Some people are, I'm just going to stick to my 401k. Great. Some people are thinking, no, I'm going to go buy some real estate. I want to get rental properties. Whatever it is, put your money in things that continually have a track record of going up in value. Not up every day, but have a track record of going up in value. It's just the opposite of debt. Debt is going down in value and you're paying a premium. You're paying interest on it. Take your income and allocate as much as you possibly can to something that goes up in value.
You cannot make up those years. So we always say there is no better day than today to start it. But today, if you're able to and capable of doing it, do it, because tomorrow you're already one day further behind. And, again, we're all running our own race. But years, you can't make up years along the way. And there is such a thing as the validity behind compound interest. And it works in your favor if you decide to say no to all the things now and yes to investing.
Yes to investing. As much as possibly
as much as you can.
Not
possibly.
Max out everything, just as much as you possibly can. Yeah. Just think, how much can I put in there?
You'll be happy
if we get rid of this debt, can we put more in our, in our 401k, or can we save up for a rental property or whatever it might be?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're moving on to number 5. I've been talking about this a lot lately. The last couple episodes on the podcast, we mentioned this. We have an interview on it. It's pay off your mortgage faster. Now, I'm going to throw this out there. I know some of you are watching this right now going, no, do not pay off your mortgage. Why? Well, your mortgage is 3% and you could be getting 10% in the market. Mathematically, you are 100% correct. However, I've been doing this now for 5 years. I've interviewed a lot of people who are mortgage free, and I've yet to hear anybody tell me, you know what? I
Yeah.
paid off the mortgage and I just wish I wouldn't have done that. I wish I still had
Terrible
that debt.
idea.
No one says that. Nobody who has a paid off mortgage says, I wish I still had a mortgage. Okay? So now, do I think that you should stop investing to pay off your mortgage? No, absolutely not. But there are some really cool things to pay off your mortgage quicker. You can move it to a 15-year loan. Did you know that if you go from a 30-year loan to a 15-year loan, your payment doesn't double? It goes up, but it doesn't double because of compound interest. Another thing, too, is you can go to bi-weekly payments. Bi-weekly payments, on average, will take off about 5 to 7 years off of your mortgage. Okay? If you want to know how that works, go to our website and we have a whole spiel on exactly how that works. So, but pay off the mortgage quicker. Here's what happens when you pay off the mortgage quicker. Okay? Your net worth starts to increase because right now, home values are going up. And then on the other side, you're knocking the principal down. So you get that bigger gap. That'll increase your net worth as well. Okay?
Yep.
So,
and I mean, who wouldn't love not making a house payment every month, right? Could you imagine if you had, $1,200, $1,500, $2,000, whatever your house payment is, just to not have to throw at the house?
Again, we have never met anybody that has a paid off mortgage that says, dang it, I wish we didn't pay that thing off.
And as you pay off your consumer debt first, smallest to largest, obviously the largest is going to be your house. So that's the last thing to go. Think of all that money you're putting towards credit cards and student loans and a car payment or whatever. And once that's all knocked out, look at all that extra money that now you sock to the house. Like, what a great feeling that is. And that snowball then just really picks up and the momentum just gains faster and faster.
Absolutely. All right. So number 6 here is stay frugal. Okay. This is something I would feel like we've done pretty dang good at, So like I have a brand new car. It's a 2010 and it has 3 holes in the seat. Okay. You drive a brand new 2004 Escalade. Okay. So our cars are older than our kids. Why? Well, I look at cars and I say, wow, cars go down in value pretty much faster than anything else. And if I care about my net worth, I don't want to put my money in things that go down in value like a rock and pay interest on them. That's just our personal preference. But I can tell you, I've been doing this a while. One of the biggest separators in wealth is cars and car payments. Why? Well, a new car is great if you keep it for 15 years. If you keep your car for 15 years, you're fine. But what happens is if you buy a new car and you do this every 4 or 5 years, that car drops so fast your payments don't keep up with it, which is why you're upside down. And you're basically paying a premium for that car to drop in value like a rock, and you're paying interest. Yes, I know interest is right around 3 to 5% right now, but you're still paying interest. So for us, we like to buy older cars. Here's something else that happens is new cars lose about 60 to 70% of their value in 4 years. So what I like to do is I like to buy a car that's at least 4 years old, even more. And I'll be honest with you, this might not sound fair, but I let somebody else pay that 60, 70% value down for me, and then I buy the car. You know, what does that look like? Well, if I buy about a $35,000 car, they pay 35, I pay 12. That's kind of my rule of thumb there. Okay.
And I mean, I'm probably digressing. I do that best. If you know me. But so many people always ask, and that's like a whole separate show, but just in a nutshell, okay, well, that's great. Like, how do I save for a car? And how do you continue to pay cash for cars? Well, we pay ourselves a car payment every single month. And when you do that, obviously we're not buying new to us older cars every year, even for that matter. But when you slowly put money away like that, eventually you have another nice little slush fund of money. And then you go and obviously sell the old car that you have to somebody else. And there you have. You've got a nice little chunk of change to then go buy a new to you older car that will get you through the next several years.
It's true. So stay frugal. Another thing she's amazing at is what's the most expensive outfit you wear right now?
Well,
and she looks good.
Today I'm rocking a $12 jumper that basically feels like pajamas. Here's the thing, friends. I am not boasting. I am not like, I'm going to come at you. I was real crappy at this. Like I was on TV, had to wear all the fancy clothes. I bought $200 dresses, $300 sunglasses, because I could swipe a credit card and because I had to be seen and I wanted people to know that, I was worthy and mattered. So I spent all that money on junk, in my opinion, because again, it's stuff that sits in your closet and in a year you hate it anyway. So I learned to shop on the cheap. And I'll tell you, like I went on TV one day with a dress that was on a clearance rack for 50 cents.
She did.
50 cents.
It was one of your viral posts, I remember.
It was. It was a Calvin Klein dress on a clearance rack at Ross for 50 cents. Now, yes, does it take a little more effort? Of course it does. But again, we're in the business of, marathon running here. We're not sprinting. Mm-hmm. So I'm okay if I have to, buy a few outfits on Amazon and take back half of them to get 2 Gold Star winners that were under $40. Mm-hmm. But you have to stay committed to it. Because
stay frugal.
You got to stay frugal.
I mean, we have no shame. We are huge. We buy stuff used all the time.
Oh, we just bought a used wine fridge the other day for $40.
So we had a wine fridge that broke, and I thought, well, let's find out how much these are. They're like $200 online. I found the same one for $40. Has a little scratch in the very back, which no one sees, and I thought, why is somebody out there paying $200 when I just paid $40? Stay frugal, okay? Mm-hmm. Not cheap. Cheap is not generous. No. Frugal. I like the word frugal.
And I did use the word cheap, but you know what I mean.
So last, okay, so we talked about our 6. We're going to hit number 7, which is the most important. So number 1, if we're going back, is track your net worth. Number 2 is create a budget. Number 3 is pay off your freaking debt. Number 4 is to pay or invest as much as possible. Mm-hmm. Not the max, as much as possible. Number 5 is I want you to pay off that freaking mortgage sooner. Even if your broke neighbor tells you that you shouldn't, you should still pay off your mortgage sooner. Yet, I've yet to meet anybody with a paid off mortgage that says it was a bad idea. Number 6 is stay frugal. Number 7 is something that we do a decent job, but we need to do a better job. Okay. And so that is focus on your why. Why are we doing all of this? Why are we investing so much? Why are we buying cars that are older than our kids? Why is she buying a dress for 50 cents? Why? Focus on that why. Have that why memorized. And if you're married or you're in a relationship, talk about it with each other. Sit down and dream, talk about it, focus.
Your why is going to look different than our why. Mm-hmm. Your why to get out of debt, your why to do what you're doing right now is not going to match up with ours. Maybe it'll be similar. Maybe there's some certain things that we both all want to do. But it's going to look different. And so when you start to feel exhausted from this, because you will, when you start to feel like everybody is moving ahead faster than you, because you will, when you start to feel like all of this is for nothing, and I just want to go back to the way of the world because, everyone looks like they're just like buying stuff and this and throwing money out the window. Like that looks kind of carefree and easy. Like, why don't I do that? Circle back to your why. And again, if you are in a committed relationship, if you are married and you are sharing money, that why has to be talked about. I can have a why, he can have a why, but together we have to have a why because our goal is together. And so when the race starts to feel exhausting, we often sit down and are like, okay, why are we feeling like this? Okay. Mm-hmm. And then we often go back and we look at the track that we have been on and we kind of see where we've been to give us sort of a little oomph of like, okay, we're doing it. We're okay. We're going to be okay. And it's sort of the pep talk that you have to give yourself often. And I'm just going to tell you, you're going to have to do it over and over and over again because this has been 9 years and we still have a lot more ground to cover. And, but I can tell you with an honest heart that it is so fully available for everybody. It truly is.
It's true. So it took us 9 years. It was 9 years of tracking our net worth every quarter, even when it was negative $227,000. It was 9 years of creating a budget and sticking to it, which, believe it or not, once you do it for about 2 or 3 months, it's really normal and really easy. It's not bad at all. It's that bad. It's not bad at all.
It's really, it's not bad.
We were able to accomplish this goal because we got out of debt in 2011. We said we will never do this again. We haven't had a car payment since. We don't carry any kind of debt because of our why. We focus on. And I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of amazing, beautiful cars. And sometimes I ride in my friend's car and I'm like, I could never have them in my vehicle because they would probably wonder if it would get us from point A to point B. Okay? Because it's just embarrassing, right? We don't go to the valet for 2 reasons. One is we don't want to pay for valet. 2, I don't think the valet would like our car. No. It'd be like, we don't want to park this for you. Okay? We stayed frugal. We paid off our debt. We put as much money as we possibly could in investments. Some years there was more, some years there was less. I never said you should put in this amount. Never. Just do the best you can. I promise you, if you do the best you can, you're going to be happy at the end of the day, right? I always think to myself, are we putting the most we possibly can? Are we still enjoying our lives? I don't think there's a magic pill, but it's not a magic wand. It was 9 years, okay? and we've been hitting our mortgage as hard as we possibly can. That's our next big goal, is to knock that thing out forever.
I think that the word no has to come into your everyday vocabulary. You have to stop feeling guilty for having to say no to some people. The people that love you most, the people that respect you most, will honor that. They will understand that just because you say no, it doesn't mean you don't love them. It just means that you're on a real straight path, that you have to get there. And sometimes it means saying no to a vacation. Sometimes it means saying, hey, can we not meet for dinner? You guys want to just come over for a happy hour on the patio? Something like that. And I mean, I still some days are like, oh, I can't meet you because it's the end of the month and we've exhausted our eating out budget. And it's really, it gets easier. Saying that word no gets easier over time. And again, when you sit in your why and you know why, it doesn't matter. They're going to, some people will think what they want to think, and that's okay. I can't control what they want to think as to why we say no to things and why we don't do things or we do other things. I know why we're doing this. He knows why we're doing this. God knows why he has us on this path. I want to steward his money in the best way as possible. And he does too. That is like a huge, firm, big, big, big why. And so it might not look like right in other people's eyes, and that's okay. But we're here to show you that in 9 long years, there's always this light, and the light starts growing bigger and bigger when you stay firmly committed to these principles and these habits.
So all the show notes, anything we talked about, is going to be found at moneypeach.com/session 147, moneypeach.com/session 147. I will put screenshots for those of you who are listening that you didn't get to see the screenshots. I'll put the links to Jim Wang's the Wallet Hacks. He has a great net worth tracker. We'll also put links to Personal Capital. And we would love for you to share this. If this is something that you think would help somebody else, let's get the word out. This is stuff that no one is talking about. And we talked about this. It was hard for us to say, hey, we are technically, I'm going to say it, we're millionaires, right? If the definition of a millionaire is you have a net worth of $1 million more.
Now, if you just popped
crap!
If you just popped into this now, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, they're terrible people. Oh, they're so not humble. Go back and watch the beginning. You'll understand it all.
Yeah.
Because right then, when you said that, I'm like, oh, somebody's already saying something.
They can judge us. That's fine.
Oh, well.
That's fine. Yeah. But the point is it didn't happen overnight. Okay. It's a success story, yes. It's a overnight success story that took 9 years, okay? 9 years of doing all the things that we just mentioned, those 7 things. And if you can stay focused on those 7 things, not be perfect, because we're not perfect, but you can stay focused, I promise you, you are going to move in the right direction. You're going to move better. You're going to be in a better position 9 years from now than you are right now if you just stay consistent. Not perfect, but stay consistent.
Yep.
All right.
That's what we're after.
All right. Well, thank you, Andrea, for coming on the show.
You're welcome.
And we're going to go have some lunch right now. So I appreciate you coming on and being able to share this. We had prayed about it. We had talked about it like, do we talk about this? But I think the message is we are not perfect. We were once negative $250,000 in debt. But 9 years of just being consistent and just being focused on our why. And it's kind of cool. I mean, I'm not going to lie. It's pretty cool to say a firefighter and a retired newscaster here are millionaires.
And you can do that too.
And you can do it too. All right, guys, take care, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Take care.